No, this is my laptop.
Is it? Right,
Yeah.
okay. So, wait, I want to do something completely different tonight, right? And oh, by the way, Richard, we're gonna have you on the old add people in, right? So here we go. Uh, um, there, right. So add Richard. Okay. Well, I didn't know you still got it. I didn't know you had a brother, Rich.
Where?
I thought you said you had a brother.
No.
What were you talking about earlier on? You got somebody you help out. I thought it was your brother.
Oh, my brother-in-law.
Brother-in-law. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Ah, right, the brother-in-law. All
Yeah.
right, I got you. I got you. I got
I've
you.
got a sister, I haven't got a brother.
That's different.
All right, yeah. Yeah, right.
How many
Okay.
sisters have you got?
Only one.
Oh, I thought she lived up England.
No, my sister doesn't.
No.
She lives in Barry.
Oh, right.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
the other side of Barry.
Her husband lives in Caerphilly.
Oh no, it's
What?
my wife's sister's husband.
Oh,
Right.
I
What?
see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, calm down, calm down. Yeah, look, gotta be done.
You know,
Um, right. So the history and archaeology session on a Wednesday, right? That's what we're calling it now, right? And what I want to do is I want to show you something. This is what AI does now, right? So
oh,
we're gonna
no.
hopefully hang on. Right. Okay. Right there. What's happening? Right. Hey, right. So we're gonna go on to share. Right. Right. So what we're gonna do? It should come up straight away. Right. So okay. Slightly different technology we're using, but if we go like that, and we go like this, and look at this, I get an AI report in for each of the classes. So last night, this is a summary from last night. Now, this
Oh,
isn't written by me. This is actually written by AI, right? Richard, can you add them on whoever it is? Right.
Yeah,
So
it's got
this is what gets written after every single class by AI. So you guys are actually paying for this, and basically this is what we discussed last night, and it gave a summary of
hmm.
of what we've got to do at the end of every lecture. So last night, this is a good practice for tonight. Last night, um, what we did a Google class, right? I didn't have a subject prepared, and it really worked well. And I basically said to everybody, um, we had a little bit of a chat about different things. As you can tell, we chatted about an axolotl and a fish tank. But then what we then we went around and everyone come up with an Iron Age subject, right? And then we typed in that Iron Age subject on Google, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I went on my phone and I got the
Hmm.
details about some images that we found on Google, and then we decided whether we're going to do that as a class in the future, right? So the topics that we come up with last night was Iron Age food and cooking,
Hmm.
rock art,
Hmm.
rock art comparing Sweden and Iron Age Scotland,
Yeah.
right? These are two subjects that we may not have done unless you guys have suggested it. We also come up with the subject Black Lock of Merton in Scotland. We also looked at Castle Hill Huddersfield site, which was actually an Iron Age site. Then we looked at the then we went to a site in Iron Age site in Germany called Hannenberg, and then we looked at Alderney. And
Hmm.
we looked at an Iron Age site in Alderney, and we decided that all four topics are something that we're going to do next week. And amazingly enough, all of this stuff in front of you is actually written down by AI. So what you're paying
Fantastic.
each what you're paying each month, part of the money that you pay for part of the money that I pay for Zoom, Zoom then now gives me an itinerary of what we've discussed in that meeting. Now there is I to be honest with you, because of my OCD, right? I won't be referring back to these, right? But you guys will, right? So if I've got your email and I remember, I'll send you an itinerary of what we discussed tonight to your inbox, right? I didn't know. It was only until I opened my computer this morning that I had this this itinerary, this list of things. But what's even better, right? It gives an outline of what we discussed in each bit of the lecture, right? So we're going to look at that now. But I also said last night that we're that everybody's going to get a copy of Romans in South Wales if you haven't already got a copy. And what I said to everybody last night, if you want to send a donation, there it is. If you want to send 10, £12 through for that book, or you don't want to send any money through, we're going to send you a copy anyway. But if you did send some money through, it would be very helpful because we sent it to you in the first place, right? What I need to know in this is whether you've had a copy of Romans in South Wales, right? Because the reason why I want everybody to have a copy is when we do the Roman stuff in about 12 years' time, you'll already have the book there. And then I can basically, when we do the Roman stuff, say we might do Roman roads one week in somewhere, and you might say, oh, well, is this covered in your Romans book? And I said, yeah, you can look a little bit about that. This is a Romans book. So it'll be like a, what's the word I'm looking for? A textbook, right? And the contents of last night are basically in front of me, it's in front of us. So I don't have to write anything down because what we're doing tonight is there in front of us. However, you guys have got to come up with an Iron Age subject that we're going to look at tonight. So you've got a little bit of time to think about that, and then I'm going to say, right, Anne, what bit of the Iron Age do you want us to look at? What site, what building, and whatever. And then I say, Richard, what do you want to do? So those are the things that the 6 people come up with last night. Yeah, that list there. Carl to prepare. I actually spelled my name wrong, but AI did. Yeah, somebody said AI can't be that good if they got your name wrong, Carl. And I just thought, well, everything else is pretty good there. I have actually been sent a review book about archaeology and metal detecting, right? Which I haven't actually opened yet, right? There is also I'm reminded that I've got to prepare a lecture for you guys about the Nessa Brodgar excavations, which is, strangely enough, there's hardly been anything in the media when there was loads of stuff on it last year, right? And I've got the Must Farm book that I've got to go through and take loads of photographs in it and prepare a lecture, right? So in a way, tonight I got to. Where's my bloody diary? A minute. In a way, tonight is basically a preparation lecture of everything that we're going to be doing over the next few months. If I can find my diary a minute. Oh, I've got my diary here. Right. So I've got my diary here, right, and I've started putting sort of post-it notes through my diary with some of these things that we'll be doing over the next few weeks, except we'll be doing a lot more than what's there because you guys are going to be making your contribution as well, and everything that you do say silly, right? AI makes it into a topic. So there we go. People were talking about fireworks and a dog and the devastating floods in Valencia. So this is all caught up by AI. So, and if you start talking about knickers, the AI makes it into a subject that this is this is sent to me, right?
Well, that's better, isn't it?
So
Yeah.
so basically this is, so what it is, if you miss anything in a lecture, obviously it condenses it into this, right? So yeah, a few of them were talking about a conference last night, and obviously yeah, there you go. And that's the topic of Blacklock, this site that we'll be doing in the future called Blacklock Excavation and Artifacts. So tonight is subjects that you decide, and then there we go. So what we did with the Blacklock excavation, I typed it in on Google, and as I said, we found some images and we discussed them, and I had my computer in front of me, and then I added some content, and I said, is this a subject? After 10 minutes, I said, is this a subject do you want us to look at in the future? Everybody said yes. Right. So strangely enough, when we got a bit distracted, right, Ruth started talking about parrotfish and a mammogram screaming. But then we got back to topic, and we started talking about an archaeological site in Alderney, right? Which was great. And Ruth wanted us to do Iron Age food, and then we've got this thing about Sweden, right? Where we were. Hang on a minute. Is that coming up? Well, so basically, yeah. So we got the Swedish rock art thing, and then we're gonna then compare it with a Pictish rock art and carvings in the Iron Age in Scotland, and then we've got some other things mentioned there. Alderney. So we've never been to Alderney in a class ever to talk about anything ever. Do you know one confession I made last night was that when we're doing the Iron Age, we completely not the Iron Age, when we're doing the Bronze Age and the Neolithic period, I completely missed the fact that Jersey has got some of the best Neolithic archaeology anywhere in Britain, right? How I missed that, I don't know, but we did the Scilly Islands and the Isle of Man and the Isle of Wight. We didn't do the Channel Islands, so we're going to make up for that when we do Alderney in a few weeks' time. And yeah, we've got a place in Huddersfield that we looked at as well. So what we're gonna do on the top now. If anyone's got a simmering Iron Age subject that they want me to look at, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically say, right, I'm going to scream at you guys and say, right, let's have that topic now. I'm going to go straight onto Google, right? But before we do that, what I want us to do is I want us to find out if there's any, if anyone's got any news, basically. So if we come off this, okay. Oh, you shouldn't even be seeing that, right? Okay, right. Okay, stop. Right, okay. So I don't even know who's on now. So
Golf.
Okay.
Henry?
Yes, good. And if your name's Jim, bugger off. Right. My stalker's back, by the way. I thought I'd mention that. Goff knows what I'm on about. Right. Anne, any news from you this week?
No news. No archaeology news, really. No, I don't know where I've been.
Right, and whilst we're doing the rounds now, right? You've got to come up with a subject in the Iron Age, something in the Iron Age that we haven't touched upon, right? So you start thinking about it. So by the time I've gone around everybody, that's that topic that you've thought of. We're going to go straight onto Google and we're going to see if we can trace anything about it. Richard?
Nothing. I haven't seen anything really. Nothing new.
And Richard, it's the same with you. The clock is ticking, right? Now, Goff.
No news.
Right, same with you, Goff. If you've got something in the Iron Age you want us to look at, tip of your tongue. But you've got a few moments. Henry.
Good evening. Unusual Iron Age female grave found in Sweden.
Now, the question, is that your topic you want us to look at now? Was that something you found in the news?
That's something in the news.
Oh,
But also
Actually,
you can look it up as a topic as well.
no, that's not fair. That is not fair. That's not fair on everybody else. But what we are going to do, right, to be fair on Anne, it gives Anne a little bit of extra time, right? Because we're going to go directly to that on Google well, when you finish talking, Henry.
It's the fact in the grave they found a needle and a folding knife, iron folding knife in the
oh.
burial.
You can't make it up, can you? And it happened.
Had made in Sweden stamped on it.
Oh, didn't it say Switzerland? Hang on a minute, right? If it's got a knife in there, rather then that's proof that it must have been the grave of a bloke.
No, definitely young female.
No, it's got to be a bloke. It's a knife in it, you know. I'm jesting with you. Anything else, Henry?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Right, Henry, you're gonna have to guide me. So when we go on Google now, right, it's going to be very useful for you to guide me, and I'm hoping that I'm coming out a little bit more clearer tonight. I don't know, and there's a beautiful picture of me in the background, as you can tell, right. I can't get any bigger, right? So let's. Okay, Anne, you've got a stay of execution, Anne. You've got a few more moments to come up with your topic. So right, let's go on to. I don't know if you can see on the screen there. It says AI companion. That's what that is, which we've just been talking about. Right. So share. So we're going to go onto the screen, right? And okay, broadcast, go, and right there. Right, okay, there. Okay, there. Off. Okay, right. Okay, so this topic that you're talking about, would it be called Swedish warrior?
No.
Right, start again. Go on. What do you want me to type in?
Iron Age female grave found in Praisgarden, Sweden. That's PRYSS.
Oh, I got it. We got it. Right, here we go. There it is. So now you know what we want, but obviously it has to be well, I shouldn't say bigger than this, but obviously if one of you come up with a topic and you said, right, would I be able to fill a whole hour and a half with this type of subject? I might do, but anyway, let's just read through this as an article. Archaeologists identify Iron Age remains as those of a female warrior. New techniques that identifies sex using tooth enamel is changing historical narratives, right? And there it is. So again, this is an old grave. What I mean, this grave was uncovered 25 years ago, 25 years ago. So the stone burial chamber, along with fragmented human remains, a sword, and a mirror. Is this the same one?
No, it's not the same one.
Oh, well, we'll do it anyway. We're going to do this anyway, because actually, do you know what we could do? Well, what we could do, Henry, right?
England.
Hang on, shut up, man. What we could do, Henry, we could compare this with the one that's just because I noticed at the top of the screen there it says 2023, right? However, what we could do is compare this with the one found in Sweden, which is by accident. We've got something, right? So here we go. So with this one, they found the sword, right, and a mirror. And this was found at Breather in England in 1999. Archaeologists now believe it belonged to a woman warrior from the Iron Age, right? So those very words, right? So in a moment, there's something interesting in that those words, sword and mirror, right? Because usually when we find a mirror, what do we always assume? If a mirror's found with somebody, it's obviously a woman burial, female burial, right? But if it's a sword, we got a dichotomy now, Anne. If it's a sword, we immediately think that it's got to be a man, right? It's got to be a male burial, right? Now, from we've looked at these Iron Age mirrors, Birdlip and other sites in Britain, right? And the mirrors, when we're reading about mirrors, it's always assumed that these mirrors accompany women, right? The dichotomy here is there's a sword found. So the archaeologists excavating this are immediately thinking, who the hell is this person? So we can't identify this person by these two objects, because one would seem male and one would seem female. But now we know that the individual found in 1999 is in fact a female warrior, right? So the Iron Age remains found on the Isles of Scilly. Well, that's, yeah, Bryah is actually in Scilly, the Scilly Islands. So the Scilly Islands, we met at the top of this, we mentioned islands, didn't we? We mentioned Alderney. So Iron Age remains found in the Isles of Scilly belong to a female warrior, according to the authors of a new study that challenges long-held assumptions about historical role of women in warfare, right? And actually, this is, I'm going to add something in here. I'm going to try and avoid politics, right? We have seen a certain election in America where there's a male and a female candidate, and it's sad that the reason one's a male and one's a female, and that's been sort of used in a divisive way, right? In the American elections. In archaeology, it's very similar. When we get male and female burials, it's also activated by some historians in a divisive way. What we've got to do as archaeologists, we've got to cut through that, and we've got to make not the artifacts relevant, but the individuals relevant to take on the mantle of the artifacts, rather the artifacts telling us about the person, right? So we're trying to move away. We're trying to make the individual speak for the artifacts around them, which is a very important point. And actually, I've never seen, I was not aware of this article at all before we've opened it. And I don't know who has just joined us, right? Is it Pat?
It's Pat. I'm here. Sorry.
Right, Pat. What we're doing tonight is something entirely different, right? So when we opened tonight, I showed them that what you pay for each month is also I get a report from Zoom after every single class, right? This is what we're saying is all being written up by artificial intelligence and made into a small form, which you get a sheet of what we discussed at the end of every single lecture, right? Which will be sent to you, right? Now, tonight is going to be very different. You'll not only get that sheet probably in the morning or whatever, but tonight we're going to be doing something different. I want everybody to come up with a topic in the Iron Age that they want me to look at on Google, right? And we go to Google and we all decide whether that is a topic that we look at in the near future, right? And we did this last night and it really, really worked well. Anyway, back to this. This is actually, this is an accidental find on Google, which we were just trying to find an article that Henry had found about a female warrior, right? So some of the things that I've already said, if you've just missed that, you'll get a little bit of report sent to you anyway. So anyway, ever since the burial site was discovered in 1999 at a farm on the British island of Bryah, which is in the Scilly Islands, great. We mentioned that at the top, didn't we? So we done Scilly Islands, but we've got an Iron Age burial in Scilly Islands. Scientists have been at odds as to whether it belonged to a man or a woman. So simply finding a mirror or a sword doesn't mean to say it's a male or a female burial, because they didn't know. They just really didn't know. Now, but thanks to a modern technique that involves analysing the proteins found in tooth enamel, archaeologists say they finally have an answer. So obviously your proteins in your tooth enamel, females and males have a different bodily flow of hormones and testosterone and all that type of stuff, which builds up those proteins that we can analyze associated with our teeth. We found that this 2,000-year-old burial, one of the richest burials in the southwest of Britain, was a female or a woman human skeletal biologist Sarah Stark told us. So it really is opening the door to this hidden female warrior. Now, back to the point. If this back to this point, if this body was found if this body was found 50 years ago, because there's a sword found in the burial, nobody would have questioned it being a male warrior. Forget the mirror; it's definitely a male warrior. But now we can see it's a female warrior because, the sword doesn't give the identity of somebody away, right? And it's a bit like today with this this, yes, use these words, with this woke LGBTQ community stuff, that in the future generations, males will be found with female ornaments and females will be found with male ornaments, and you need to look at the DNA of somebody to biologically work out if they're male or female, because the artifacts ain't going to give away who that person is, right? For example, a weird little fact which I've told many people. I wear female underwear because it's more comfortable than male underwear, right? I'm not going to go into detail on that. But so therefore, if my body was found in future generations and they found this female underwear, they would think, oh my God, this is a woman. So the point is, what we've got to do as archaeologists and historians, we've got to look at these individuals and and as individuals, not with the artifacts that they're found with. And then the artifacts add to the picture, right? So the sword and the mirror, that could be a book. Obviously, we got two little stories here, haven't we? Which we still got to do the Swedish one, right? And Henry, you haven't got out of it, Henry. You've still got to come up with a subject, and it can be Ireland if you want, Henry. But I think we've all been bored stiff of Irish archaeology at this minute. But anyway, don't worry about it. So the sword and the mirror, Iron Age graves with swords usually belong to men, as we said, while those with mirrors tend to belong to women. And as I've never seen this piece before, so everything that I've said is completely in this article. This is something that really sets the Briar burial apart. This kind of tipped us off into knowing that this person, this woman, was of significance. Those are dangerous words, okay? Not the fact that this woman, the word was of significance. Now, I find that quite uneasy with those terms, was of significance. Just because, oh God, just because I just had a drink, it's gone down the wrong way. Pat, talk to us a moment about any news that you've got.
Just bought the grocery. Ate a sandwich.
No, it's fine. It's coming. Have you got any news to share with us?
No, sorry.
Right, okay, then that's fine. I'm back with it.
Good.
The word was of significance. I feel just because you're found with a sword doesn't mean to say that you're significant in society. Just because you're found with something doesn't mean to say you're significant in society. Because there's moments in the past that people can be incredibly rich and they're not actually buried with anything, right? Anyway, but I agree with most of what we're talking about so far. She and her colleagues suspect she was someone that was organizing, commanding, or leading in warfare at this time. I'm going to disagree with that. The problem is, in archaeology, when we find artifacts, when we find things, we're only finding a small representation of society, right? So we found this one body with a sword and a mirror, and it's a woman. Great. However, if they found all the bodies from the Iron Age, right, most of them might all be found with a sword and a mirror. So therefore, it's a normal thing to be buried with. So I think you've got to be very suspect when you use those terms. And it goes on to say there's a lot we know that we don't know about Iron Age Britain before the arrival of the Romans. And this is one thing that we're doing in these presentations every week. We're trying to open the Iron Age, and we're trying to make them a little bit more important. One of the things that I didn't mention in my introduction tonight was that I got to the end of last night and I said, oh, actually, do you know the topic that I was meant to do tonight? I was meant to do salt pans in the Iron Age, right? And it was like, and then it was like, oh wow, I remember the salt pans in a series called Britannia, right, where I was meant to be the archaeological historical advisor on the series, but things didn't go that way, unfortunately. But and that was going to be my topic, and it was like, oh right, that could be really interesting. Will it make a whole class looking at salt pans in the Iron Age? And I thought no, because we're going to do lime kilns in the Iron Age as well in Britain. That would be my topic if I was you guys. It's my topic anyway. Anyway, that's the topic for the future. But one thing we know for sure is that violence and warfare was common. Again, can we just because you find a sword, you've got to find people who are killed with a sword, indicating violence. So do I agree with this following paragraph? We see that men and women were engaged in kind of violent activities based on the trauma that we've seen in other bones in surrounding areas. So it's not out of the ordinary to think that both men and women should be able to defend themselves. When it's talking about bones that are signs of violence, there's not actually, in comparison with all the bones found in the Iron Age in Britain, it's a small percentage that of damage and trauma occurring to those bones. And there's one interesting thing that I might completely, those are the artifacts, right? There's one thing that I might completely miss, and I completely missed up until now. Did you know there was a period in the Iron Age in Britain that we don't find any burials, and we don't find any way of understanding how people disposed of their loved ones? And that's a fact. I've mentioned this before. There's a small period. There's a gap, and it's like we don't know what they did with their loved ones. And you're thinking, well, if they ate them, what happened to the bones? And if they cremated them, where are they cremated? And heat bits on the ground. So maybe they put them in the water. Anyway, so this is the sword, and I do believe that must be in its scabbard.
Yeah.
That's the scabbard holder, and the sword is still in there. And that is a mirror. It's a small mirror compared with a bird lip example. And we're joined by somebody online. It's thought now that pre-Roman Britons kept chicken, geese, and hares as revered pets. And that is something that would have been very useful last night, Black Patch's dog. When I said last night that we don't have much evidence of rabbits, for example, in Britain at that time, but chickens, we're looking at the introduction of chickens sometime. I really think that's interesting. Chickens, geese, and hares. And that's another thing as well, is, do you know what, right? That's the topic that we're going to use. That's going to be one of our topics. We're going to, which I'm not going to look at tonight, but we're going to look at pets in the Iron Age. And we're going to find some evidence for that. So anyway, cracking on to what we're doing. So it's not just the sword that's connected to war, but potentially the mirror too. This is the problem when people are obsessed with warfare and fighting all the time. It spoils an article like this. But the people who write these articles, right, are not the archaeologists. It's the people who report on it. It's like people like warfare. They like raping and pillaging, and that's why we write about them in newspapers and magazines, right? Nobody wants to hear about somebody sat at home making bread or out in the field tilling the crops and so on. Well, I do, but this is what this article says. To be able to signal to others through beams of light would be a huge advantage, both in either warning others in your party of a potential attack or coordinating an attack. I think that's gone a bit. That spoiled the. That's actually spoiled the piece, to be honest with you. What have we got here? These are the bone remains. So it goes on. Let's have a see what it says. These Iron Age human remains from Briar were too fragmented and deteriorated to obtain DNA, but they found some of the teeth, and they were able to look at the teeth on the left, and they were able to work out that these were actually the remains. These are actually pretty good images, actually, to actually work out the remains. It was actually a woman, right? And it says mirrors, she said, have also been associated with religious or spiritual roles, including fortune telling. Can I just come up with something normal? What about just looking at your face and just arranging your hair or shaving, right? I feel that making these things out to be more than they possibly were spoils the narrative sometimes. And out of an article that looked really, really good, right? It spoilt it for me. But anyway, it goes on to say, and this is talking about the island of Briar, you know, one of the many hundreds of islands of Briar. And you go changing historical narratives about gender. So we like that. It spoiled it at the end. I don't want to read anything else there. But what we're going to do is we're going to now go to, we're now going to go off the subject. Now, can I get this right, Henry? Okay, just start again. Let's type in the title. What's the title we were going to look at, Henry? Is he there, Henry?
Female.
What?
Oh, yeah, it's working now.
Right,
Female.
go for it. What is it? Female.
Grave.
It's Iron Age female grave found in Praise Garden, Sweden. That's P-R-Y.
Hang on. I don't type that fast. Iron Age
Female
female grave. Right. Yeah.
found in Praise Garden.
P-R-A.
No, P-R-Y-S-S.
Yeah.
G-A-R-D-E-N. Sweden.
Prisgarten. Right. It's Primsgard. Oh, there we go. There it is. Oh, and AI has provided this for me. I think somebody said to me today they're a bit worried about AI. So what's the headlines there? Archaeologists found an Iron Age woman's burial with an iron knife stuck into the ground. There you go. So let's just see. There it is. Do it, Anne. You decide whether we do the independent article or we do Archeo News article. Or should we? Or we do ground news? Should we just go with the independent? And yeah, let's just go make it easy, right? This better be good, Henry. There's a big build up on this one. It better be good.
There's another one.
Right. So you. Oh, hang on. Don't tell me I've got to subscribe. No, I am going to subscribe. That looks like a Native American there.
Yes. Oh, it could be an Inuit.
Right. Bizarre 2,500-year-old burial of woman found with knife stuck to grave. What? What? Stuck to grave. Forget it. The searchers also found evidence of two houses and an ancient warehouse buried at the site. Right. It's a 4-minute video, so we won't play all that. But it goes on to say, "Oh, let's play it. It's too late. It's already clipped on it. Is it going to play? They're digging out the grave. There we go. I don't know. Yeah, so digging out the grave. I don't know what they're. Oh, hang on. It's not saying. That looks like it's timber. They're excavating in there. And yeah, they're excavating away. Well, it obviously does look like it's timber, doesn't it? That looks like wood. And very interesting conditions that they're working in. That looks more like a
I
spade.
think that's last week's shovel.
Yeah.
Hang on, that is last week's shovel.
Nah. No,
Hang on a minute, this isn't even what we're supposed to be doing. Henry, you're the expert on this. Where was this shovel found last week?
This is Dorset.
That was found in Dorset. So this is not the Swedish warrior, but this is actually the shovel that Henry mentioned last week that was actually found in Dorset. That's a wooden shovel. And the question is, Henry, remind me, was this actually an Iron Age shovel?
I think it was, yes.
And there they are removing it.
They said you could use it if you want.
Yeah. Well, it'd probably fall apart. There it is. It's slowly moving. They should have actually used the metal plate. Are they lucky got away with that? I got to be honest with you. They just about got away with that one. But that is amazing, isn't it? That's not even what we're supposed to be doing. This is by And in future, right,
That's-
click on the YouTube video because you might actually find some gems as we're doing tonight. And you know what? These archaeologists are so professional. Look at their high vis. They're unbelievably cool. And I love the cling film they're using. That's for their sandwiches. It's great, isn't it? Anyway, they're taking that back and they're opening it. Anyway, this was the wooden shovel that they found last week. So what we're going to do now, we're going to stop. And we're going to go back. We are using different technology tonight, so I'm actually struggling a bit. Hang on. Oh, there we go. Okay, hang on. So, hang on. What we got? Right, no, there. I go back. Right, let's go back to this. Right, so let's see. I got to find. Right, can we? We've got to find something with some images. Right, okay. Oh, right. There it is, the Archaeo News one, right? So there they are excavating. There's obviously big boulders being found on top of it. So look, let's try and make some sense of this one, right? Okay, go visit. Let's try and make some sense. Brilliant. Okay. People, what we were talking about last night was something really interesting about Alderney. That the problem is with the island of Alderney. It was evacuated in the Second World War by the Germans, and it was used as a stocked slave camp, and it was basically slave labor workforce on the island. And the problem is the biggest problem that we've got on Alderney is that the local people don't want the 2,000 slave workers dug up. So whenever they find anything on Alderney, they've got to be very careful to make sure there is actually old archaeology and not new archaeology, right? Because they're very protective of the slave workers that are actually buried on Alderney. So it makes the archaeology very difficult to excavate. Anyway, I think it's a really nice image actually, because you've got the grave in front and you've got the boulders that would have been placed on top, right? And let's see if we can get some meat on this article, right? So how much information have we got? Lots of adverts. We've got some images. I think we can make this into a discussion now. So let's just see what we've got. So the body was found in an Iron Age cemetery in Sweden. Archaeologists found a woman's grave buried with a small needle and an iron folding knife directly into her burial. Do you know what? There's three ways. 1 minute the knife has been found stabbed into the ground, then it's been attached to the grave, right? And now it's then in those words, an iron folding knife directly into a burial. Yeah, different words for different sources. One of the country's largest archaeological excavations has been underway for a year and a half at Priskarden, outside Norrköping. The area is close to Motterstrom, and people have lived here for 6,000 years, but now it is to become industrial land instead. Now, obviously, it's that thing, isn't it? Does it remain as a burial ground? Or the thing is, for me personally, right, if it's going to be an industrial site, they could put a membrane across the site, left the burials there, put a concrete hardcore on top and add an industrial estate, but they're excavating them nevertheless.
Reminds me of the industrial estate you found the Vikings.
Oh yeah.
From. Was it
Yeah.
Vikings? Oh.
Yeah, the Atlantic Trading Estate over Barry, exactly. The area has been investigated in the past, but during the new excavations, archaeologists have rediscovered a burial ground from the early Iron Age. So obviously, when they use words like the early Iron Age, when did the Iron Age begin in Sweden? So then you've got to think, right, so it says there 500 years BC. So the Iron Age in Sweden started a little bit later than ours, which is roughly about 800 years BC. So maybe there's about 600 years BC. The burial ground with around 50 graves was known in the 1600s, but was forgotten when it became arable land. Among the finds is a female skeleton. And I think I think it's very interesting that that a lot of fuss is made about female graves, and it's usually because the the female element in history is sometimes neglected and forgotten. For example, they found this wonderful Iron Age female burial in Sweden in the 1920s, and because it was found with a blacksmith's and a little anvil and all the rest of it, they instead of realizing it was actually a woman, they said it was a bloke. And years later, they found out that the woman was actually a blacksmith. And so it's that assumption. You can't make assumptions by the artifacts that you're finding. You've got to work out who it was, and then you've got to build up the picture. So anyway, although there are at least 50 burials in the cemetery dating from 500 years BC, to AD 400. So this is the thing. The Iron Age, like Orkney in Sweden, lasted until AD 400, when the Iron Age in southern England finished in AD 43, the advent of the Roman era. We've already discussed that. This woman's grave is particularly unusual. Archaeologists have discovered an ancient iron pocket knife jabbed into the burial of this Iron Age woman. It would be so good if we can find some images after reading this, to see if we can. The people who buried the woman centuries ago stuck the knife in. We don't know why. So when they say stuck the knife in, it sounds like they're stucking it into the woman, but it is clear that it is meant for the woman. In other words, they put it in the burial, right? That makes it a little bit more clear. Put it in with the burial. That makes it nicer. Some of the graves were covered with tiny symmetrical laid stones, but the majority were pits where cremated remains were placed, a common burial practice during the Iron Age. And there they are excavating away. Right. So there we go. So they're processing the grave, they're excavating the grave. And what they're doing there, it looks like they're taking soil out to sample it as well. So to sort of sift it, to go through things, to try and find any other evidence that might be lost in the excavation. Two graves close to each other were investigated at the same time. One contained no grave goods, was less sooty, and also contained some animal bones. The other grave was extremely sooty and had a thick layer of fire. When we dug down, we saw that an iron curved knife had been inserted straight into the ground with its edge. It was probably used for preparing hides. They had collected everything from the fire and then stuck the knife in the ground. We don't know why, but it is clear that it was meant for the woman. Now it's actually stuck in the ground. Forget it. We know it's there. So it is also very well preserved and may have been on the pyre before it was stuck down. There is a woman buried here, and she also has a small needle with her. Part of a toe bone shows that she probably had osteoarthritis in her big toe. Similar female graves have been found in the Frisbee burial ground, where the dead were also given needles and knives of the same type. In total, the archaeologists believe that there are around 50 graves in the area, but there may be more or turn out to be fewer. So obviously they're still excavating the site. And finally, they're using metal detectors. Archaeologists from the National History Museum discovered some jewelry during their initial investigations this past spring. In addition to dozens of graves, they discovered a storehouse, a well, and ancient dwellings during the excavation process. And it's going to be over to you in a minute, right? So you better be ready. So what I'm going to try and do is part of it would be nice to see if we can find some other images of the artifacts, and they doesn't seem to be they don't seem to be coming up. So hang on a minute. What is that there? Is that it? Oh, we've got it. Our dreams are complete. That is actually the penknife and the needle there. So great. So we've got what we wanted. So there's the burial before excavation. And there is the needle and the penknife. So again, I would like. Okay, I'm going to be greedy. I'd like to have that x-rayed, and I'd like to see more, right? But yeah, those are the artifacts. So obviously they're talking about needles being found in the burials, and obviously the one thing I think in archaeology, and you know, as me and Goff seem to listen to BBC Radio 4, and we keep hearing weird things, and it's just like thinking, well, it seems that the past is closer to us than we once thought. You know, well, once we used to think that people used to run around in bear skins naked. Start again. You can't run around in a bear skin naked. What we used to think, people used to run around in a bear skin with a club, and that was Iron Age Britain. Now we know it's not. It's houses. It's drainage. It's pen knives. It's proper burials. It's people with writing, carving, or animals, pets. Think this world is a lot more closer to us than meets the eye. And actually, that one there, which is from Ancient Origins, I don't usually go with that because they don't usually publish images, but that's the image there. I love it. And we've done all that, but and a bit more information there, which might sort of take us somewhere else. It says nothing new there, but it's near Stockholm, southwest of Stockholm. And the cemetery, there you go. The cemetery has been there for a very, very long time. So cemetery was uncovered at Priscai Garden. Archaeologists initially learned of the site through the text of Hemengius from the 1600s, who was commissioned to document ancient cemeteries in his parish. So in other words, the cemetery had been there for a long time, and they documented it and knew it was there before they started excavating. So last thing, there we go. And Anne, what would be your topic in the Iron Age that you would like us to look at today, and maybe move that on to a full lecture in the future?
Well, I thought of what kept popping into my head was evidence of medical practices in the Iron Age.
OMG. Okay.
Or if you want something less, I say
Don't think we can.
textiles.
Oh right, actually, I think you've really taken the thunder out of some of us who might actually come up with those topics. So I need I'm going to get my little pad here because I haven't written anything down yet. So we got both topics are absolutely wonderful. Textiles in the Iron Age, but there's a rule of this game tonight. You can only choose one. But I want to do, and the other one was a medical practice.
Medical practices in the Iron Age, but I think that could be quite difficult.
You're presuming that, but I'm gonna see. There is a way that I could track lots of this down through books anyway, but I want you to. It's not. Obviously, it's not fair on everybody else that with that, you got two there. So you've got to choose one that you want to do.
All right, then. I'll go for textiles in the Iron Age.
Right. Let's just type this in. Textiles in the Iron Age. Right. And we're just going to see and that might take us anywhere in Europe. Right.
Yeah.
Or AI. This is AI again. Iron Age textiles were made from organic materials like wool, linen, and animal skins. And I know one or two of you is interested in textiles made, for example, from nettles, and flax and various other things. But they rarely survive in archaeological context because they decay easily. However, there are some exceptions. Now, let's just actually, this is actually pretty good overview, to be honest. Tools. So in absence, before we mention the tools, in absence of the artifact, i.e. the end product, i.e. textiles made of linen or wool, you got the tools that were used to create the wool and linen, right? So that it goes there. It's quite easy. So tools used to make textiles such as spindle wools. So obviously that's your wool. weaving combs that might sort of be to do with linen, wool, anything. Right, the needles that go throughout, loom weights, so all this paraphernalia. So Anne, right? So maybe you should have gone with medical practice, because that was a little bit more harder. But we're going to do medical practice. We're going to do no, Anne, you can't cheat. Right. So even in this overview, there's enough for me to put something together as a lecture. But in the rules of this, we've got to find some images, right? So waterlogged conditions, there we go for the artifacts. Baked clay. So in other words, what we do get on pottery, right, on pots, we get impressions of wool or linen, right? And what we usually in Neolithic stuff, for example, we get impressions of rope and string to sort of give designs to it, and that's obviously I think a third degree link. But there you go. To actually create a rope impression means that you're able to produce textiles. So rust. Evidence of cloth impressions can be found in rust from long buried iron objects. So some iron objects, for example, absorbs textiles, and that is a good piece of archaeology. One of the biggest criticisms, for example, of people who go metal detecting is the idea that were the objects put in a purse, right? So okay, there's 5 gold coins in the ground that you want to get them out and you want to look at them, and oh, what's this crap here? Just get rid of it. And oh, well, I got the coins. Well, I'm personally interested not in the coins, right? I want to know what the coins are in, right? So yeah, we want to know that, right? And sometimes the detail is lost. I can remember being on an excavation years ago, and we brought a metal detecting enthusiast on, and there was a trench, and they were metal detecting, and unbeknown to me, the person excavating there just dug through all the layers to get to the metal object, and in doing so destroyed all the archaeology on the way. And I was pretty livid, because the metal detecting enthusiast said there was something there. So that's the problem. You've got to take your time. Mineralized forms, textiles can survive in mineralized forms. It's basically the same as the rust, really. The metal salts in the burial site create casts of fibers. That's really good, because when it's called we get sand ghosts, where basically as something's decaying, Sutton Hoo, that's a good example. You get the ribs of the boat, which are like ghosts preserved in sand casts as we're excavating them. So that's what we're talking about. So let's see if we've got actually an article on this. Yeah, there are whole articles. There it is. Weaving in the Iron Age. Should we just click on that one? Let's give it a go. Right, so again, everyone's got their little thing. Oh, there we go. Weaving in the Iron Age, except cookies. This nice little piece. Oh, wow. And this is we're spoiled now.
Yeah.
We are really spoiled. Oh, look at that. We've even got a video. Oh my God, my sheep.
Go sheep.
Sheep. They're borrowing sheep. I did my sheep. They're my sheep. So sorry. I am actually I want to read this little piece now, and maybe you should have gone with the other one and had less enthusiasm. So evidence of daily life in Wiltshire during the Middle Iron Age. So obviously got the 400 years BC to got 100 years BC. So has been recently uncovered by Cotswold archaeology. Most finds were covered from the recent excavations at a site near Lungershall Castle of pottery vessels used in the preparation and cooking of foodstuffs, but other objects made of clay were also discovered. And that's interesting. There's another point to be made here. Sorry to sort of when it's got Lungershall Castle, you immediately think you're going to find medieval stuff, but some places were called castles when in fact they weren't castles, such as Iron Age hill forts, such as Castle Ditches in the Vale of Glamorgan. Isn't that right, Richard? Which is at Langford, which is not a castle, it's an Iron Age site. And Castle Ditches on the coast in Lantwick Major, that's an Iron Age site as well. So places given names don't necessarily mean to relate to that period in history. They might be to do with something completely different. So these other items are traditionally called loom weights, usually got a hole drilled through them. Although an alternate use as oven bricks has also been suggested. So in other words, you could actually, there's loads of different ways you could look at this. A total of 4 were discovered, one of them almost intact, the rest missing 1 or 2 corners, right? And these little sort of loom weights, right? And actually, you don't need to have a hole drilled through a loom weight. You can have a little cloth bag, right? So basically, you think of a cloth bag, you put stones and whatever in that cloth bag, which would act basically as a loom weight, to add weight to the loom as the wool is being drawn, right? Which we're going to look at in a moment. There we go. It's at the bottom image. They are shaped like a prism with the shape of a triangle when seen from the front and of a rectangle when seen from the side. All corners and edges are round and smooth. Each one is approximately 15 centimeters in height and weighs about 1.2 kilometers. Kilograms, sorry. So there's the loom, there's the spindle, and there's the loom weights. Actually, what have we got for loom weights? Oh my God, I think we got little cloth bags there. We got actually, they might have lead bits of lead. You might have any old iron. Remember, it's the Iron Age. Any old crap to actually weigh these things down. As this makes it taut and tight. And there's the spindle. Michelle's got a little spindle as well, right? And there is the loom, good old loom. There is actually, I'm gonna do a plug. There's Zena and her cottage. She's a lady that's got a YouTube and TikTok site, and basically she's actually does all the traditional stuff. And me and Michelle went up there, and she's called Zena, and you can find her on YouTube. If I think, and basically she does all this traditional stuff. Zena, yeah. Anyway, I'll yeah, you'll find her on there anyway. But anyway, she's up in North Wales, and she does all this stuff. So an upright loom with stone weights at the end of the warps. There you go, the warps, the dregs and stuff at the end. And there we go. It says that they would have been used to hold in tension the vertical warp threads when weaving textiles in a vertical standing loom, in a similar fashion to the example above, right? And actually, right, what we've got there, the Greek Asiatic vase, I think it's Asiatic, and it basically the Greek terracotta at Lekithos, or oil flask, decorated with scenes of women making woolen cloth, including work at an upright loom. And you know what? So that's how we reconstruct the loom from above, because there you go. So basically, if you've just got that little bit of pottery, right, in absence of finding any textiles, in absence of finding any loom weights, in absence of finding a single thing, we've got a photograph there. I know it's it's not a photograph, but it's a good image. And they're batting it as well. Is she batting it? Is she batting in there? Well, she's not doing the batting there, but and the bobbing through and all the rest of it. But you can see that this is the technology that they used in the Iron Age, but the Greeks were using it as well. So there you go. So once the vertical threads were weighed down, then the horizontal weft thread was passed through them. So you'd bat it. Although almost anything could be used as weights. There we go. It's got it there. I haven't even looked at this article, Anne. So there you go. From natural stone, granite, chalk, soapstone, to lead, bronze, metal. I've been in this game for too long. I could have written this myself. Generally perforated with 1 or 2 holes for suspension, or you could put it in a little bag, as I mentioned. A video filmed in 1947 in Norway shows the whole process from the beginning. Oh my God, we've got a video, Anne. No, Anne did not cheat. So let's look at this then. It's 10 minutes long, but we're not going to watch it all, right? So, there we go. Play. No idea what that says. There we go. There we go. We got the process there.
Mm-hmm. You
Do you
know,
know, it's
like,
almost as Zena's doing this now. So,
mm-hmm.
so we've got the wefts being sorted out there. And this woman in Norway, right? She's doing something that is exactly something that would have been done in the Iron Age, right? And actually, the reason why my friend Zena in North Wales is doing so well is that people want things done in the traditional ways now, right? Mm-hmm. They've had enough of manufactured things, and instead of going over to Iran and getting a Persian rug or something made, you can get these things done in Britain now. Mm-hmm. And you know, you've got the process there. And there we go. She's really getting into it. She was outside a second ago, wasn't she? No, she's inside now. No idea what that says.
Oh, like I'm got.
And we got the process there.
I'm just interested to, you know, to understand how. I mean, obviously, it was probably invented before the Iron Age, you know, weaving, but it seems,
and do you know? Sorry, keep going.
You were saying about, you know, people with skins and club, you know, running around with clubs, you know, and I just thought, yeah, we do, but we also think of this, you know, this sort of weaving and everything, but it's like, yeah, it's sophisticated, you know, it's somebody thought of it somewhere along the line.
And you know, when I do this textiles in the Iron Age, shall I ask Zena to do a little video, because what she's doing, she's actually making oh, hang on a minute. What do you call that really soft stuff made out of wool? That
Angora, mohair?
No, they make it into like a sheet.
Flat. Oh no.
You know what I'm talking about, don't you? She makes that, but she also, what she does, right? She makes artificial skin coats, right? So what she does, she gets the fleece off, right?
Yeah.
And then she makes it so that the end of the fleece looks as if it's been taken from, you know, it's the skin of the animal, right? And she's got skill to do that.
Yeah.
Felt.
That's
what I was thinking of. Yeah. So basically felting, and so they all this stuff is there, right? Yeah. So I'm thinking I might get to do a little video. Do you know what, Anne? Right? Nobody else is going to get this treatment, right? So
no.
So what I need to do, I need to get back off that a minute. Hang on a minute. It's all going wrong a minute. So if we go there. If we go get rid of that, there. I've lost my thing a minute. Right. So Anne. So what we're gonna do? We've got to give somebody else a go now. So I'm gonna this gives me an opportunity. So that would be really good to look at textiles as a topic, right? And I like this idea of medical practice in this as well. So I'm just trying to
also say that.
No, they can't.
Oh. Oh.
They're not allowed to. Oh, hang on, we got to finish this. Vegetable fibers, for example, from flax or hemp, a wool from sheep were woven in this way. The sheep were a smaller type of breed than modern ones, comparable to the native Orkney breed. That's what I've got them, my little sheep. Yeah. They probably molted and the wool would have been plucked by hand. Basically, it's called ruin, right? So anyone next year, right? If they're available towards end of May time, right? I'll
Mhm.
sit you in a field with a sheep, and you can pull all the wool off it by hand. Honestly, you rue them.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I reckon somebody must have looked at a sheep or a bear or some animal with a coat and thought,
Yeah.
well, why can't we make what they've got on them? You know, so it's
And they
like
did. They did.
taking it right back to the very, you know, how do you make the wool? How do you make the, you know, it's all pretty cool, really.
So one thing that they then realized, they thought, right, if we're going to make a woolen, like a woolen coat, right,
Hmm.
we've got to kill the sheep. And then somebody said, no, you haven't.
Yeah.
If you actually take the fleece off,
Hmm.
you can actually felt one part of it, and that is basically acts as an artificial sort of leather
Yeah.
membrane, but it's not. It's made of the wool, right?
Yeah.
And then basically that sheep can produce another coat for you because you
Hmm.
haven't killed it, still alive, right?
Yeah.
And this is the thing. The problem is it's actually revaluing our wool,
Hmm.
and what we can do with wool, like they used to do in the past. So they
Hmm.
probably molted, and the wool would have been plucked by hand as its ruin is called ruin.
Hmm.
Now those native Orkney sheep, right, are actually called Borere sheep, right? And what happened that they've got, you know, I know my stuff on this. In 1975, they on the island of Borere, they took off 6 sheep, right? Now,
Hmm.
Borere is near the island of St Kilda on the Outer Hebrides, way on the Outer Hebrides, right? They took 6 of these sheep to Orkney, right? My sheep, a descendant from those original 6 that they took off, not the island of Borere to go on to Orkney, right? So my sheep are descendants of them.
Wow.
So
God.
so in fact, my sheep are actually related directly to these ones. In fact,
Oh.
that one there in the picture. Oh, hang on. That one in the picture there is probably related to my sheep called Olivia. Now,
Oh.
Olivia has actually produced 3 of our sheep, and it looks very similar because of the nose and the design of the nose. She's got really freckled, and she looks ancient. And I talk to her every day. I talk to all my sheep, right?
Mm.
And it's then talking about, this is a massively interesting. It's talking about spindles and it's there, and also this as well. This tool here that they actually found. They actually found this at Flag Fen. This shears, which is exactly the same one that I used in Downton Abbey 3, right? And I can tell you that now.
Oh.
I use those shears, and I'm actually cutting a Jacob sheep in it, right?
Oh.
So when that's released to be in the cinema, I'm going to go and see it first, and then I'm going to tell Goff, and he can take Eleanor, and I can say, right, this is the bit of the film that I'm in, and he'll be dead impressed, right? Because I'm shearing.
It must be soon. It must be soon because he was on Graham Norton. It's usually the films are coming out soon if the star
Yes,
is on
exactly.
Graham Norton.
Exactly. And we can't talk about the other series until it's out. When it's out, I can tell you that I'm in it. Anyway, it goes on to say textiles do not normally survive. We know that, but we've obviously got the objects, as we said, the spinning and the weaving objects, spindle wheels, the shears, you know, these things survive, right? But then again, all these things can corrode and damage and be misinterpreted. And there we go. They confirmed that spinning yarn and weaving textiles would have been an essential everyday task for households. And you know what? I haven't spun any yarn today, right? Because it's been really flowing, right? So oh my God. I've been so is everyone's gonna get a reprieve, because I'm gonna, do you know what I'm gonna do now? I'm gonna either pick on I know the person. No, I'm not going to pick on Goff, because Goff's going to go in the break and he's going to look at a book and he's going to come up with his subject, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Henry for a subject that we want to cover as a lecture in the future. So, Henry, what am I typing in that box at the top?
I was going to give you another Iron Age grave.
That's a grave.
Is that fair? Right, give me the name of the grave. No,
It's
actually, type it in.
Iron Age princess discovered in France.
Oh,
We never go to France. We've
With
got to do this.
blue glass beads and wearing a copper belt buckle.
oh.
Yeah, that went over me. What Iron Age princess found in France. Do we have a site?
It's Saint Valbas, so spelt Vulbas.
VUL.
BAS.
Right. Oh, there it is. And this was actually published in 2020. We're not going to spend too long on this one, guys, because yeah, we've only spoken to one of you so far. So, Iron Age princess discovered in France. I want your other topic to come up after this, and we'll do that, and we'll have a break. Right. Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on. Accept. Oh, what's gone on? Right. Go. I think we've got a problem there. Right, there we go. There. It's not letting me do it. Okay, let's go with the Express. Hope we don't have the same problem.
No. Oh.
I accept. Right. I don't know what I'm accepting half the time. Archaeologists shock 2,800-year-old princess found in France. Right. There's the body. There's the grave. French archaeologists have found the remains of covered with blue glass beads. We were talking about them the other week. Did you see these blue glass beads? They occur in the Iron Age and Roman period. We love them, you know, from Egypt, Israel, great. And wearing a copper belt buckle. The remains thought to be of a princess were found inside an oak coffin as she was positioned with her arms resting by her side, like a soldier in a way. But it's not a warrior. Not I meant that as a metaphor. The burial site was a rectangular pit measuring 2.4 by 3.6 foot, and she had her jewelry and pottery placed near her head, which is typical. And there we go, Saint Vulbas, near Lyon. She was one of 3 people buried on the site, roughly around 700 years BC. Her tomb was one of 3 burials mounds found at the site. Can I just mention something there? It says the 8th century, right? So what's happened is the person reporting on this has thought the 8th century is 800 years BC, and they've given the date of 2800. I'm doing forensic archaeology, when in fact 8th century means 700 years BC. So whenever you get these 8ths, I always make them the proper date, so it makes you read the dates properly in your head, to avoid that confusion. Right. So a tomb was one of 3 burial mounds found at the site. Human remains found in one of the other burials suggest the person was cremated. Another tomb appears to have been there from about 400 years BC, together with a 4-post funerary structure surrounded by a shallow ditch. She was wearing bracelets with blue glass and copper beads on both her wrists. If we continue reading, I have to pay for it, so I'm not going to do that. But what we are going to do, we're going to see if we can get an image. Oh, there it is. Well, we're going to press on. Oh God, there's just too much. Okay, let's just click on that image. There it is. So we got the beads, and she looks very medieval. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
She looks like she looks like a medieval princess, right? So we got that, and we got the burial there. You know, God, if I'd have known this was bloody coming up, we could have done a whole lecture on just this. Yeah. So somehow we've got to do our Iron Age warrior in Sweden, which is actually going to be a topic anyway. So we know what we're coming up with. But great. So we've got it in a hollowed out tree trunk, and we usually find stuff buried around their head, and obviously the stones are there to make sure that the coffin doesn't somehow tilt or, you know, whatever. So, so we got that there, and all these objects. We got the beads, and is that over on the? When it says beads, are these drilled through beads? And that looks like jade, doesn't that like green object there?
That's copper.
It's copper, is it? I'm glad you corrected me there. So, copper object there.
Part of the copper belt.
To the belt, yeah. Copper belt.
Oh, right. So this is just really interesting stuff. And we could have a whole thing on this. You really upset me now, Henry. Actually, yeah. So hang on, back there again, and what else have we got? If we could just see, let's just, yeah, there it is. There's the belt arrangement there. So around her waist. So it's a part of a copper sort of buckle for the belt or whatever. So obviously that's in the ground, and as it's decaying, lots of the bones have decayed actually. And but really good, these, really like them. So finally, Henry, right, other than exposing the fact that we've spent a hell of a lot of time on these, what would your subject be, Henry, other than these?
I think the other one was actually it was picking up on what Anne was on textile making, but in Cyprus.
Yeah, do you know what? I think that it's going to be interesting to look at other areas, you know, in Europe, and you know, because that, I mean, that body had what looked like cotton, you know, a cotton fabric, you know, so they were making other fabrics.
Yes, and actually cotton, cypress, and so on. So
Yeah,
actually, to be honest with you, right, I've been to lots of these places in Cyprus, and actually, I'm going to mention something to Henry. Henry, have you ever been to the Ethnographical Museum in Paphos?
Yes.
Right, you describe. So you go into this building, right? What can you remember?
Well, there was a lot of obviously a lot of pottery.
Yes.
Tremendous amount of pottery.
Yes.
And also extremely complete as well, which was very surprising.
Yes. And can you remember going to the back of the museum and seeing an actual burial chamber?
I can't remember that.
Right. Because yeah, it was a very, very interesting, strange museum, to be honest. But I'm thinking, in a way, I really we've done a lot of the textile stuff tonight, and actually I might dive into Cyprus textiles. So that will be the topic that I'll do as part of as the textile thing overall.
yeah.
And because I do know Cyprus a little bit, and obviously the textiles that they're producing today. But the weird thing as well is I don't understand this. When you type in Cyprus textiles Iron Age, it seems to come up with pottery. And I don't know why that is. But yeah, that's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. So that'll be your topic, Henry, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So now we're going to take a break.
Okay.
And we're going to have a Kit Kat.
Kit Kat.
Kit Kat. So there we go. Right, and this is my hat for Henry. So any questions on any of that?
Oh, what's that? Henry VIII.
No, any questions on any of that? Pat?
No.
Henry?
No, that's fine.
Anything from you, Goff or Richard?
No, nothing for me.
And Anne.
Well, why I was interested in other areas was because you said that the Iron Age finished in the UK about 400. Did you say about four?
Well, no, the problem is in places like Orkney and Shetland, because we're sort of technically in an Iron Age culture with no
Yeah.
Roman era.
Mhm.
The Roman map really didn't include places like Orkney and Shetland
No,
there.
of
So
course they
technically,
did.
they're still in the Iron Age,
Yeah.
right? But then it mutates into the sort of Pictish period, and then it goes to the Iron Age period,
Yeah.
right? So so when you get to places like Cyprus,
Hmm.
their Iron Age finished hundreds of years before ours, because Cyprus is then you've got great empires like the Greeks. For example, the likes of
Amazing.
Alexander the Great. That's going to be 320 odd BC.
Hmm.
Alexander the Great died in 321 BC. So if we're talking about 325 BC, Cyprus would have been no longer an Iron Age culture. So their Iron Age finished,
Hmm.
hundreds of years before, say, the Iron Age finished in mainland Britain, in the south, which would be AD 43. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's so. Uh, sorry, AI is not going to be able to understand me.
well, put it this way: AI was pretty good last night,
Yeah.
and so we will have a break now, and we're going to have a break for 10 minutes
Okay.
whilst I get some hot chocolate.
Ooh, nice.
Stupidly, I didn't set my um my burner, my fire up tonight, so I might actually chuck some wood in whilst we're having a break. So we got 10 minutes.
All right. Okay. Thank you. want your pudding? But, make some tea. Hello. I've always got the washing up to do. Right.
What's the washing up got to do with anything?
Well, he cooks a dinner, so I got to wash up. But
Yeah.
I haven't got time after tea. So I got a nice hot bowl of salty water. I've done most of them.
You got a hot what? You got a hot bowl of salty
Oh.
water.
Hot bowl of soapy water.
Oh my god! Right, okay, fair enough. Right, let's get going. Right, Pat's not here. Are you there, Goff?
No. Where's Goff?
I'm here.
Right, Goff.
Have you seen any films recently? Oh, sorry, you're going to ask
Next
me
week.
something.
Gladiator 2.
Gladiator 2.
Next
Oh, what was that? What was it like?
He
Next
hasn't seen it
week.
yet. It's next week, you definitely
next
did.
week.
It's the Irish boy, isn't that?
Next week.
And apparently, Goff whispered to me earlier on that he wanted to go with you, right? But he didn't know your number, so he's decided to take one of his chicks. Isn't that right, Goff?
No.
Oh, I would have liked to have seen him.
Oh, well, Goff, you're going to have to take her then.
Well, you can go, eh?
Pardon?
Take your husband.
Oh, he won't go. Me and Pat will go.
Very well, then.
Right, on that moment, right? On that moment.
I might even go on my own.
Yeah.
I want to see those little things as well.
Yeah. All right, yeah.
I know it's not going to be very thrilling. You know, it won't be very.
No.
But I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well done. I have no idea what anyone's on about, but don't worry about it. Right. Okay. So, Goff, we're gonna have to crack on, otherwise we're gonna be here all night. Goff, what is the subject that you want us to do?
Musical instruments.
Oh.
I gotta be honest with you, right? Nobody mentioned any of these things last night, so yes, we're gonna. I've been thrown by that a little bit because my head is saying
You don't know very many.
Oh, well, you've got the bib gone and you've got the tabard. So yeah, I do know a few. By the way, when we do musical, we are doing musical instruments. I'm gonna nick Michelle's bib gone, which I had handmade. I guess where the bib gone was made, Goff, one of the only places on the planet making bib gawns. What?
I don't know what you're talking about.
A bib gone.
I don't know what that is.
Why you want to do musical instruments? I thought you knew something about a musical instrument.
No, that's why we want to do it.
All right, okay. This bib gone itself, which is something that we will actually have in a Goth lecture about musical instruments whenever we do it in the future, right? I will actually get Michelle's bib gone, right? And I will try and play a little bit for you, which I'm not going to have much success doing. And the bib gone, one of the only places that makes bib gawns on the planet is actually Germany.
Oh, is it one of those ceramic things you blow through?
No, it's like it's got a horn on one end, horn on another, and it's got a yew wooden barrel, right? And it cost me about 350 quid to be handmade in Germany, but it was it was for Michelle's 50th birthday. So
oh, nice.
So right, right. Pat's still got to come up with hers, and so's Richard. So we still got a few to go. So what we've got to do now, we're gonna type in. Now, the musical instrument bit is reliable on the fact that we are able to find something on the internet, right? So we're gonna see if we can get something now, right? So screen, start broadcasting. Do you know, all these are fantastic ones. They really are. So right, musical instruments. When Henry said about the textiles in the likes of Cyprus, it sort of threw me a little bit, because I thought, oh, that would be the place that I would probably want to look anyway. Right. So we're going to type in. I don't know where Iron Age musical instruments is going to take us. So musical instruments. Oh, AI has generated something already. Oh, yes. The carynx. Yes, that big long horn. Yes. We saw the carynx on the Gudenstube cauldron. Remember we did the Gudenstube cauldron? The carynx was on there. So, yeah, we can do it. We can do it. So a bronze trumpet used by the Celts of Europe between 200 years BC and AD 200. It was a psychological weapon of war used to intimidate opponents and incite troops to battle. One quick thing, when it was on the Grudenstru cauldron found in Denmark, if we know that they used the carynx in Europe without actually finding any of these objects. Obviously, we have found some, but, you know, in absence, we find these illustrated in relief on the Grudenstru cauldron. So the carynx was a tall instrument with an elongated S shape, a wide bell, and a short mouthpiece. The bell was often shaped like the head of an animal. The bell is the end of basically the trumpet. That's what it is. Not a bell, ding ding ding, but the end of the trumpet. That's known as the bell, right? So the Longanashad trumpet. Now the Loch Nashad trumpet. That's got to be Irish, haven't it? There it is. A horn made from curved and riveted sheets of bronze discovered in Ireland during drainage works. It dates from around just before the birth of Christ and is one of the finest surviving horns from the European age. And the kompu, or the kompi, a percussion instrument used in temple music in Kerala in South India. It is a surviving example of an ancient class of instruments that include the horns of Iron Age Europe. And you know what? I think we'll do all three of them. I really do. We'll do all three of them as examples. Right. So, but the thing is, right, it sort of stops there. But what we've got there is sort of why don't we? It says Iron Age civilization known for raucous music had a mellow side, right? Do I pick that article? I know it's University of Pennsylvania. Let's just see what we got from this one, right? I should have given Goff a choice. There you go. Iron Age civilization known for raucous music had a mellow side, right? There's this music that's wildly popular. It's loud, it's exotic, it's energetic. At the same time, some are concerned that the music might be eroding the character of the people who listen to it. Now, as we go down there, it says here that the Phrygians lived in central Turkey from about 1,000 years BC, 3,000 years ago, through the Roman period, right? Phrygian music was also immortalized by being described in Greek and Roman writing. So that's actually music. That's not actually the musical instruments that Goff was talking about. However, then it goes on to say it used percussion instruments like drums, tambourines, and small castanets like cymbals. You can't make this up, can you? And the ulos, a kind of double pipe. Actually, you know what we used to watch? Clash of the Titans and those types of things from the 1950s and 60s, right? They always used to have like a a double pipe bagpipe type thingamajig, right? That's what I'm thinking of, right? In those films. So Phrygian music. And it goes on to say about the Phrygians there. So that's a good start. So what we're going to do, we're going to go off away from that. And then it talks about, it goes a bit deeper. Do you know one of these, what we should do is actually type in these things, accounts, so you know what we're looking at. I think that's only fair. So if I open another window there, we type in there, and we type in carrinks, and the carrinks is as follows. That is a carrinks. Basically, these things. Oh, should we listen to the sound of a carrinks? Let's do it. Maybe oh, you're not going to be able to hear it. Oh, never mind. But carrinks.
No, carninks.
Is it?
Yeah.
Carnings.
I mean, I don't know how you say it, but it's...
Hang on, Anne. I think Anne is right. A carnings. I think she's right. This is actually on the Grudenstube cauldron, right? It's these long bellowing with the end bell on it, right? That look like beasts. And it's exactly the same types of things they would have on their helmets as well. So that's the carrinks. And also very, very decorated things.
Yeah, I've seen those in something.
Yeah, you did. We've done them before. Yeah, you have. And basically, where oh yes, you're thinking of the film Ben-Hur. When you've got the film Ben-Hur, when you're actually in the oh god,
Circus
Maximus. Yeah, the Circus Maximus. When you got the Circus Maximus in Rome, you've got these. You've got these people blowing horns, and that's what these are. This is what these are. So, yeah, that's what they are. So I think you're right about the pronunciation, actually, Anne. The canics, yes. And they are very weird little objects. Can we see that man there? That's what we're talking about. So you wouldn't exactly wander too long with one of these, and they wouldn't really work in the wind either.
No. Well, it would project somewhere.
You could get somewhere, exactly. So what we're going to do next, we're going to go back to where we were, and we're now going to look at one of the other musical instruments. So what we've got is the kompu, or the kompi.
Oh.
Which is actually from India. And when I say that, Anne disappears. The kompi instrument. I think that's right, isn't it? Is that the right spelling? Yeah. Instrument. There we go. And basically, actually, can any of you remember that film, The Man Who Would Be King, by Rudyard Kipling, that came out in 1976 with Sean Connery and Michael Caine?
Yeah.
They had them in that film.
Yeah. That's before my time.
I can't see.
I remember.
I have to go and get my other glasses.
And to be honest with you, right, that is got to be one of the 1970 classics. I would love to have seen that in the cinema. That is by far one of Rudyard Kipling's best books, which is being portrayed on film. And to be honest with you, I think that made. I know Michael Caine is said he was made in Zulu with Stanley Baker in 1965, wasn't it? That film was pretty big as well, and they had these in that film, and that's based around the story of Alexander the Great. Establishing a city in Afghanistan, and bits of it are based on a true story. Yeah.
What's it called?
The Man Who Would Be King by Rudyard Kipling. It's a book, and Sean Connery and Michael Caine were in it. Yeah, bits of it are based on, because Alexander the Great did go to Afghanistan, and he did marry Roxana Quack.
Ooh.
No, Roxana Quack was actually in the film. He did actually marry Roxanne. So and basically he established places in Afghanistan and Iran called Alexandretta, and there was about 20 of them. Anyway, So the other musical instrument that we're gonna do is that bloody Irish one. And we can't not do the bloody we can't not mention Ireland today.
No.
We can't not mention my relative, as we know, Lloyd George. The big question is, what musical instrument would Lloyd George be into? So what we're going to do, we're going to mention the actually these are all trumpets, aren't they? So so there we go. Do you know, I have been practicing my bugle.
Have you?
Except my bugle when I'm blowing it, because I'm surrounded by two valleys. You can hear the bugle go around the valley.
Oh my God.
And Michelle's been doing her head on it. It's like you upsetting on neighbours. So there we go. One of the neighbours knows I'm here because he can hear. But this is actually found in Ireland. So in fact, we're not even going to take a vote on musical instruments. It's going in. So we've got Anne and Henry's contribution. But now I'm very aware it's 9:09. So the other thing I want to mention before we're gonna get off. We're gonna try and so I can see you. The one thing I want to know as well. I did mention at the beginning of the presentation today that I was going to send you a copy of my Romans in South Wales book. If you've got one, then I need to know. If you haven't got one, then you're going to be sent one, right? I'm not asking for any money for the Romans in South Wales book, but if you do send a donation for it, I'd be very grateful. But the reason why I'm sending everyone a copy is that when we do the Roman lectures, then you've got a copy of the book in front of you, and it'd be like a bit of a textbook. So, have any of you actually got a copy of the book?
I do.
I thought I did as well. I don't know.
All right, then. Well, you can't have another one. So Pat's got one.
This is the latest one.
Yes, the latest one, the 3rd edition. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure. But you gave me some to sell, didn't you? Oh,
No, that was the Romans in Vale of Glamorgan. You said you got a copy, Goff, did you?
Which one?
The Romans in South Wales.
Number 3.
Vale of Glamorgan.
Right.
Yeah.
If you got a Vale of Glamorgan, it's the Romans in South Wales one.
Oh, I don't think I've got that
The one that quotes the Gower or the Gower.
Shut up!
You don't mean the Gower, you mean Gower.
Oh.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Have you got a copy, Henry?
I'm just looking there to see which edition it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's not been signed, which I was very put out about.
I'll have to go then.
Look, it's an archaeology textbook, for God's sake. I'm not going to sign frigging copies of it. You're going to have one in the post. You know what I mean? Stop stressing. And you're really winding me up, all of you. Right, okay. Next. Richard. Now, everyone's gone off now to see if they've got a copy. All right, I'm going to go and get a copy of it and show you what it looks like. For bloody hell's sake. Hell's bells.
2021 I've got.
Shut up!
Doesn't say edition.
What? Hang on a minute. I'm not there, am I? Right, okay. Basically, right. What are you? Right, it's that book there.
Yep.
Now, Pat's got a copy, Henry's got a copy, and Goff haven't.
I've got one.
I got 2. I don't know if it's the different.
Different. You got 2 different versions. So the only one who hasn't got a copy of Goff.
I got the Vale of Glamorgan one.
Yeah, no, you need this one. You
Oh,
need
this
this one.
is the 3rd. Oh, I got a 3rd edition and a special edition.
Oh,
Yeah, you got this. Yeah, you got a special needs edition. Yeah.
Yeah.
One's slightly
Special for Anne, man.
that's bigger. That's a bit bigger than the other one.
Yeah. Oh, for fuck. Right.
I
Okay.
said-
Right. Okay. That's made a balls cat's eye of that one. Right. Okay then.
Send a donation.
What?
You said I'll send a donation.
Yeah, you can send a donation for a book that you've already got. Well, that's great. I like that.
Oh, I don't need another one.
And you can pay for mine if you want.
Right,
Are
guys.
they both the same?
No, they're not the same. That's why it's the first, second, and third edition, because they're different, you silly bloody woman.
Honestly, AI is not going to
Mine
be
doesn't
very
say
happy
any edition
tonight.
on it.
I don't care what your blooming book says. I really don't care. I really don't give a cat. Right, Richard.
Oh,
What? Richard, look, that's enough. Right. Oh, no, please. Right, I've been tortured. Right. Richard, what's your topic?
wheels.
Hmm? This is third edition. So
Anne!
Wheels
Ah! I don't know what AI is going to make of this. I really don't.
well,
Right,
I think
okay.
it's been very successful tonight.
Yeah, but it's starting to fall apart. Right, Richard. Right, okay. Then Pat's got to come up with this, but not yet. So, Richard, wheels now. I think we're on the edge of maybe not. So we're gonna see what we got. Right. So we're gonna go on to share. Right. So we're gonna type in iron age wheels, any old iron. Right. So there we go. So we're gonna see what we got. So iron age wheels, iron. The Loch Ness Strait. Right. Iron. We've got Bronze Age wheels. Right. Oh my God. Hang on a minute. Right. Richard could get away with saying Iron Age chariots, but then again, Iron Age chariot burials is a completely different topic. But so Iron Age chariots is not the same as Iron Age wheels, right?
No.
But there you go. That is an Iron Age wheel from Denmark, right? That wheel in the Nottingham Museum is not Iron Age, but oh my God, look at that. Iron Age chariots. Yes. So is that an Iron Age wheel? So what we got to do now, I want to look at any text, right? Was the wheel invented in the Iron Age? It's not a potter's wheel, right? Oh, actually, there's a point there. Is Richard on about the potter's wheel or the wheel for transport?
No. Cart wheels and chariot wheels.
Right. All right then. Okay. All right then.
Yeah.
Don't be too thingy. What we're gonna go with, what I think I'm gonna do to get out this little rut. Do you see what I did there? Little rut. Oh, sorry. Wait, Anne thought it was funny. Anne, which edition of the book have you got?
Third.
Right.
Special.
Yeah, you are special. Right. So here we go. Rare Iron Age axle found in Suffolk. So an axle would be associated with a wheel, so I can get away with that. So a fragment of a wooden axle from a cart or possibly a chariot has recently been identified. Dendrochronologist, University of York, and it was found in excavations at East Bridge, Suffolk, ahead of advanced tree planting for Sizewell C nuclear power station. I didn't know planting trees was part of nuclear power stations, but I do know now. Our field team revealed prehistoric to medieval archaeology, including 2 Iron Age pits that were most likely used as watering holes for livestock. And it goes on to say the ideal preservation of wood, and that's a wheel axle, right? So a radiocarbon date on the hazel wood of the axle has shown that it was made in the Middle Iron Age from 400 to 100 years BC. Most of the spindle for the wheel hub survives, as well as part of the rectangular axle bed, which would have been secured to the underside of the cart or chariot. Part of a hole at the end of the spindle would have held the linchpin that secured the wheel. So there we go. That hole there, that would have secured the wheel. Now, Richard's going to say I still haven't shown him a proper, bona fide wheel, right? Because he's going to get very upset. So, because Richard does get upset occasionally. Hang on. Right. So what we're going to do, if we type in wheels in the Iron Age, that's better. Wheels in the Iron Age. The Iron Age. Oh, we've got AI. You see, Richard, you've got a bit of AI now. Let's see what the AI says. Right. Okay. So what we've got, it says something, obviously it's talking about potter's wheels, which we're not doing. Transportation wheels were used in carts and chariots to transport heavy loads, making transportation faster and easier. Chariots were a status symbol and a way to show wealth and skill. Again, that wealth and skill thing. You know, what if you just like me and Goff, we were just getting on with our lives? You know, we had a couple of women to visit. We needed a bit of a chariot to get around them. Doesn't mean to say we're wealthy and skillful, you know? Anyway, social change, the wheel, there you go. Wheel is needed, but that's talking about potter's wheel there. An axle, a hazelwood axle from the Middle Iron Age was discovered in Suffolk, which we've mentioned already. The axle was found with charred boards that may have come from the same vehicle, right? So a rare 12-spoke wheel was discovered at Home Pierpoint in 1968. It was the only example of a wheel with a central hub made from birch wood. Do you know where we're going to go now? We're going to see, right, if we can find that wheel there from Pierpoint. It looks like there's not much archaeological evidence of wheels in the Iron Age, but it's basically you just about make it in there by the scrape of your teeth there. So Nottingham Museum, are we going to see an image of this? Let's just see if we can see the image. Oh my God, that is, you know, the one I said, that's definitely not bloody, that is actually the one. There it is. That's an Iron Age wheel.
Nottingham. There was an Iron Age fort in Nottingham.
I don't give a damn if there was. Right. Hang on a minute.
There's something in Nottingham.
Yeah, all right, Anne. All right, then. A naked woman running around the streets. Right. Let's just do it. Lady Godiva, you know. It is. That is it.
Oh.
It's the wheel. My God, that's amazing, isn't it? I actually dismissed that as being like 1800s. If you want, yeah. Oh, that is lush. Well done, Richard. This rare Iron Age Roman 12-spoke wheel is the most complete example of its type in the world ever, and the only example of a wheel whose central hub is constructed from birchwood. It was discovered at Home Pierpoint, not related to the Pierpoint, the hanging people, in 1968, when the 3 Bronze Age logboats found in the quarry were being excavated. So they found this wheel, and there it is. Amazing. I think that, Richard, you just about get it in there, just on that wheel. I don't know, it's going to be part of like a bigger lecture, you know, but we'll chuck wheels in there. Maybe I can find some more stuff. So we'll actually, what we'll do, we'll chuck this in with chariots. That's what we're going to do in the future. Now, the only one that we've got left now is Pat. Now, Pat, if you could, in effect, let everybody down by not thinking of anything, right? But don't try and not think of anything. You've got to think of a subject. So, Pat, you are the last one out of the 2 classes that I'm going to ask and deliver something.
Okay, well, the thing I never hear much about is the children of the Iron Age.
Oh my God, you just kicked in a curveball. Right, okay. That is
I mean, there's all sorts of ways you could go on it, you know.
That is a complete. Actually, do you know what I'm going to say? I want to. One thing I'm going to say is that when I'm obviously in the world of acting and stuff, there's very rarely any children about, and it's perpetrating this myth of no children being in history, right? Because we're not portraying many in films and stuff. But I think that's a really good point. Children, I think AI might be able to help us out with this. I'm hoping. Are we going to have a fail, or we're going to have something that is in Iron Age, right? Maybe if I put that. What did children do in the Iron Age? Did children exist in the Iron Age? That's the question. Children in the Iron Age would have had lots of jobs to do, from collecting berries and herbs to using a quern to grind wheat into flour. We do actually find that some children, the bones of children who are buried, right? We do find that some of their limbs are very worn down because they've been grinding wheat into flour. Right, so we have got archaeological evidence of what some of the children were doing in the Iron Age. Now,
Child labour.
right, making childhood, exploring children's lives and deaths in Eastern England. I think what we could do is go with that one, and maybe we might get some information, right? And unfortunately, it's got a good thing there, but it's in regards to a book. So let's just see. We've got to find. There they are, dressed up. Life in the Stone Age, Iron Age. Yeah, there we go. There's a whole book about it, and let's just see what we've got. Iron Age Guru. We should have asked the Iron Age Guru in the first place. Iron Age Guru. You get gurus of everything. Yeah. I think it's actually referring to a book. And there's not much there. However, it talks about the daily life for children in prehistoric Britain, chapters, Bronze Age, Iron Age, looking at family life, finding food, education, religion, art, culture, and much more. Children's history of Britain, life in the Stone Age, children, right? So I think this is a rather interesting area. And I think this ties in with something somebody else mentioned earlier on about, so we've done textiles, musical instruments, that's two of you did textiles. And pets. This is one of the things, we opened at the beginning, there was something about pets, wasn't there? And somebody online, they said, it's thought now that pre-Roman Britons kept children, geese and hares as revered pets. So you're starting to build up a family landscape, sort of a family stage, right? So life in the Iron Age, what did children do? Did they have time to play? Did they have toys? We know that they've got toys, right? And I think the way I can maybe answer this a little bit more to try and associate this Iron Age, because what do children have, Pat? They have toys. Now, what's the sign of what children were doing in the Iron Age? Toys. And it's got wooden toys through the ages, and ancient toys. And it's got a little bit about this here. So let's just see what we've got. Right. A buzz bone, a spinning bone, a thing that you'd spin around your head. Right. And this actually answers it. So what I gotta do, I gotta let the cat out the window a minute. Marley, come on. Marley, do you want to go out the window? Oh, come on, you beautiful cat. No, Monster, no. Go on, Monster. Monster, go on out there, Monster. Right, okay. Right, so you know what we did earlier on about textiles? We haven't really got much in the way of fabric surviving in the Iron Age, but we've got like loom weights and we've got all those types of things, right? To find out what children are doing is naturally to find their toys, right? So this weird little object here, Shetland Museum, there we go, a buzzbone Shetland Museum. I probably saw that actually. The Snorri Bane is an ancient toy made from a pig's metatarsal, which is that thing in the middle there, and is aptly named for the loud snoring sound it produces. This bone is found in the foot of a pig, and each foot contains 2 metatarsal bones. The Snorri Bane has entertained children since the early Bronze Age and was still popular up to the beginnings of the 1900s. Archaeologists have just uncovered an abundance of these bones all over Europe, and until recently were unaware of their use. So in other words, this was a toy, right? And I think the way, the way to look at toys in the Iron Age, let's start again. The way to look at children in the Iron Age is to find their toys, right? And I think that this is, the children the bones would have been removed, cleaned. Well, the bones would have been removed, given to the children, and go and play with us on this. They would have then maybe cleaned it. They've got the piece of twine and sinew, right? Was threaded or tied around the middle, placing the bone in the center of the two long looped handles. With one loop in each hand, you flip the bone in a circular motion towards your body. When the twine has built up some tension from being twisted, you steadily pull your hands out to the side, causing the bone to reverse direction. The speed at which it unwinds causes the bone to produce the snoring sound. So, Anne, if I'm going to do, go on, Anne.
We used to do that with a circle, a cardboard wheel. We'd do the same thing. You thread it through the two wheels, and you do that with it.
And actually, there was a thing that you used to buy in corner shops that was like a little metal thing. They used to just have a bit of string, and used to, And actually, finally, Pat, the way to really get to grips with this, right, to try and understand toys in the Iron Age, is to look at Roman burials, because obviously the children are going to be using the same thing. So this moves us on to something else, the Roman toys. And we've got lots of Roman toys. There we go. And thinking about, so if we look at images, and what we do find in burials and so on, is we do actually find lots of little toys. So these are little toys that children would have used.
Well, they put those through twine as well. They got holes in them.
The reason why toys have got holes in today is if you swallow them, you're not going to die. So, or is that to put twine through them?
I think so.
And these are some of the things. And obviously,
there's the wheel. There's the wheelie one in the middle.
So again, there is one point to be said, that if you've got all these toys, then the children were able to be children. I think the question is, were children able to be children in the Iron Age? And the answer is yes. And I think that would make a really good topic. And what I'm going to do finally is just go back and just say Iron Age toys and children. I could type in that toys, and then we'll finish. Toys, Iron Age toys and children. Iron Age toys and children. Why, Pat, why didn't I type this in the first place? And this is what we've got. So we'll read this out and we'll finish. Children in the Iron Age played with a variety of toys and games, including wheeled toys. Children played with wheeled toys such as bears and otters. Bears with wheels on and otters. Okay. Board game. Oh, yeah, board games. We find loads of little pieces. When we looked at, for example, Scatness in Shetland, we found little gaming pieces. Yeah, that was in the lecture. So archaeologists have found evidence that board games were a favourite pastime in the Iron Age, both for children and adults, Dolls. Children played with dolls made from clay and bone. We find loads of different dolls throughout history. Rattles. Children played with rattles, which were often made from clay or bronze and shaped like animals, tools, flowers, or half moons. And there you go. A lynx. Children twirled and not a lynx, an inx, IYNX, not a lynx, an IYNX, a disc-shaped toy to try to attract luck in love, and basically that's far away from when we started, that children were actually pointless and they just collected herbs and berries. They actually had we've done that bit there about these little animals, usually pigs, which were carved out with stone or chalk, have been laid to rest with Iron Age children. There it is. And the oldest was discovered at Stonehenge and dated between 800 and 700 years BC. There is still some discussion on whether the wee children were ceremonial pieces or lovingly created for the child's amusement, or the children produced them themselves. And basically, yes. So, yeah, we can do that. I don't know how long it would be as a lecture, but we can do that. So what we are going to do now, we're going to call that a day. And we're going to find out if there's any questions. Right. Any questions from Goth?
Why have you got a dead cat on your head?
It's my Russian hat.
Oh, I thought you put out the window.
What, the Russian hat out the window, or the cat?
Yeah.
Oh no, the cat went out the window. This is my Russian hat. I like my Russian hat, my glasnost hat. This is what this is.
No.
There you go, my good old Russian hat. I like a bit of Russian. So nothing else from you, Goff?
No.
Okay.
That's
Henry.
Very good, very good. You enjoyed it.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was something different, Goff. Thank you. Henry.
No, that was very good. I don't have anything to add.
Oh, oh my God, that's the first. I'm going to write that down. Nothing to add. Right.
Except
Okay.
When you wear your hat when you see your dad, the real one.
My dad's not going to be happy with that, whichever one you're talking about. Right. Okay then. Pat, anything you want to say?
No, enjoyed it. Thank you.
Right. I'm getting ready for what's coming. You see, that's why I got my Russian hat. Right, Anne.
Oh, what was the name of that film that Goff's going to see?
Gladiator 2.
Gladiator 2.
Gladiator.
2.
Would Pat, would you like to go to see Gladiator 2?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't either.
Goff, tell him tell him what day you're going and what time, and they'll meet you
Oh
there.
no, it's all right. We're going Friday.
In the plaza.
Oh, the plaza. Oh, what's Albert?
No, Bridgend.
No plaza.
Oh, the Odeon, isn't it? The Odeon.
Oh, right,
Oh,
okay.
right, yeah. Oh, well, no, sorry, Pat. I was thrown at you a bit. Sorry.
Do you know, the AI is not happy, Anne, that you haven't talked about your knickers today, because we would have had a whole section on it.
Every time I see Pat, I think of something to ask her, but I don't think, I should have asked.
Yeah, Anne, don't worry about it. I'll get to Richard now, and we'll you can talk about it spiritually. Richard, anything you want to talk about, lovely?
No, nothing for me. Very interesting.
Good.
Yeah,
well,
I think they're good topics.
Yeah, I think they all are, and I just and basically all the ones that we did last night as well are absolutely fascinating. And what you will have is a little report to your email about this meeting, and it'll just outline all the bits. So that's good, including us talking about what films we're going to see. Oh, the film will be mentioned on the AI report, and so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So anyone want to say anything else before we finish?
Good night.
Okay, nothing else. All right then. Well, I guess say good night. Good night, Goff, Henry, Pat, Richard, Anne, everybody else online, including on the mooch.
Yeah, I mentioned it.
No, Henry.
Yeah, have a good week.
I will, Henry. You have a good one as well. I'll say hello to Pewty.
That will be later in the year.
All right, yeah. Shh.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Henry wants to go and see a film with you, Anne.
Yeah, it's on this week, and I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, Henry, let Henry know, because he can meet you at the cinema.
Okay. I'll check it out.
All right.
Yeah, I think you should. Yeah.
Don't worry.
It's got some decent actors in it.
No, Pat. Like me.
We should all go to see Roman films.
Yeah, I think we should. I tell you what, when I see Downton Abbey 3, I can let you know exactly the spot to leave the cinema when I'm in it.
All right. Okay.
So long.
Right. Have a good week. Bye
Have a
bye.
good week, and thanks for all that. That was great. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
No, no, Anne. No,
Is
no.
Henry going away again?
Who?
Is Henry going away?
He's already gone. Yeah, he's not going away for a little bit, but when he does go away, he goes away.
Okay. Right.
So cool. And everyone watching still live on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. Glad to have you on there, Black Patches Dog. You've chosen your subject for a lecture in the near future, which is absolutely brilliant. And yes, so we're going to call it a day. It's been a nice, interesting little week. This way I've done this, the past 2 days, just getting people to talk about topics and stuff has really worked. That's been really helpful. And don't forget any donations to I tell you what, if anyone sends a donation, it's down in the chat box, right? And they send a donation to my PayPal, right? They send a donation to my PayPal. If they do send a donation to my PayPal, then I will send them a copy of Romans in South Wales, because with your PayPal, there is actually an address printed, so I can send you a copy of my Romans in South Wales book, which is obviously you can send it to the Outlook link. Anyway, I'm going to call that a day now. Diolch yn fawr i chi, gwelwch chi eto, ac am yr hyd, ac ar gwelwch chi wythnos nesaf dydd Mawrth, dydd Mercher, ac ar diolch yn fawr i chi. Nos da chi. Nes nesaf. In the box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The box is done. Hopefully you'll be watching again soon. At least we are.